Hey there, just a quick video to talk over limit switches. I've got a 6040 CNC. Basically, it doesn't come with limit switches, or at least it didn't when I bought it. So I had to sit down and sort of figure out where I would put all of the limit switches. So, it helps to sort of set alongside your CNC, move the axes manually if you can, with little wheels on the back of the stepper motors, usually with the drivers turned off, and just sort of see where metal is sort of contacted metal or coming close to contacted metal. And then, so what I did then is, okay, generally I read you want to have the switch moving. Like I tried to do that, I wasn't very successful. The only time I've got that happening is on the Z-axis. So, if we start with X, right? So X is my longest travel, the 60 and 60, 40, 60 centimeters. And basically, if you look down on the bottom left there, you can see there's a switch, right? I'm using these rocker switches. I'll give you the. You can actually see there, CZ7121. So if you look there, CZ7121, and they can be set to normally open or normally closed. So you can see where I bolted them in. You can see the little plate that I've added. That's just 3 mil thick, 40 mil wide aluminium plate. So I've just cut it on the bandsaw and then drilled it with the drill press, right? And then I've tapped a corresponding hole into the steel of the side of the 6040, right? So, add the plate, drill the holes obviously in the right places so that the head of the switch is contacting what I've named here as the stop, where when you want it to, right? So again, you've got some adjustability there. Of course, you can make your drill holes a little bit wider so they're more of a slot so that you can slide it back and forward. Where I'm using plates, like for example on the y-axis plate, like you can, that's not a great example actually. On the z-axis plate, you can see, it's bolted onto the top of the travel plate, right, on the z-axis. So you could put washers in here, right, and that's going to mean that this contacts when the z-axis is closer to the top, right? Or you could, I mean, you don't really want to be digging huge holes, drilling huge holes into your, your z-axis, your actual spindle holder, right? So ideally, keep those holes small, and then any adjustability you can do on the plate. So on the z-axis there, you can see that. So yeah, x-axis, longest travel. This switch is fixed at the end of travel, and the moving gantry is the stop, right? So that you can see there the roller hitting the stop, right? So the advantage of, I mean, advantage using big switches like this, I think, are, they're not going to get clogged up that easily. So they should be pretty reliable. And there's a lot of leverage that you can play around with, right? They're big switches. If you've got a tiny CNC, probably not the best idea to use ginormous switches. But a 6040, it's all right, right? You're not really losing anything because I'm moving the switches back away from the gantry and away from the bed on these 3 mil aluminium plates, right? So you don't really lose anything, and it makes it super easy to wire. So as I said, these switches can be normally open or normally closed. You can wire them either way. You can just see the normally, I think it's closed screw there. So you can see I've got them configured as normally open. Um, and so if we look at the y-axis, okay, so again, the plate, again, it's the switch is just screwed into the plate, and then the the rocker is contacting that top bar of the y-axis. Now you might not get this right first time, and I wouldn't worry about it too much, because what I've ended up doing is I sort of messed up the Y and the Z a little bit, where they could crash into each other if you moved the Y before you moved the Z. A normal homing procedure is Z, Y, X, right? But if for some reason you were controlling the axes independently and you move the X up, I had it before where it could crash into the Z. So I tweaked it, right? I didn't have to drill any more holes into the actual CNC frame. I just made some slightly bigger plates and started, made them a bit longer, moved the holes, and just tinkered about with it that way, which I think is a really good way. So hopefully, this can be sort of used on pretty much any, what would I call this? A large hobby scene, a medium-sized hobby CNC. Um, yeah, so I'll add a video in after this, and hopefully that's not too boring just looking at a static image. So yep, your Z, you think it's going to move up and it's going to hit this plate, and then actually I've got combined limits and homes on Linux CNC. I'm using Linux CNC. So that means that it will actually go up, it will contact, and then it will back off by 2 millimeters, right? Because when it contacts, that's it hits limit. It won't work if it's on its limit. So you have to let it back off the limit to allow it then to call itself homed and let you then operate the CNC. Hopefully that helps. Take care, and you'll get the video after this.